Hi guys, it's Patreon time again, and I've got my Patreon subscriber Jack Hunter who wants me to do a movie review for one of his other movies. I did a movie review for him last month for Paranoia Tapes, and this time he wants me to review his sequel, which is Paranoia Tapes 2. Press play. In this sequel to Jack Hunter's Paranoia Tapes, we join Chase to find the missing pieces of what went wrong in the events of the first film. Just like the movie review I done for his first film, I'm going to try and be as honest as I can. I will pick out a lot of negatives, but I'll also pick out some positives as well, and I'll try and be as constructive as possible. Now, just like the first film, there is a lot of segments in this one, not as many as there was in the first one, and in fact there is still so many segments I had to write them down. I won't go through them all, but there's some segments like there's guys that were filming what scares you, so they were going around about town asking people what scares you the most to make a good horror movie, and near the end of that segment they get burned, and that's it. And then it goes on to another one. Again, I won't go through them all. You see this segment with a YouTuber tells us about his channel, and he gets this package where he watches a film and does a reaction with his girlfriend. And that was a little strange, but again, I'll go into that one in more detail. There's ones where a guy was found in the woods, a clown shows up. There's one with a possessed girl, which is probably my best one. I like the effects that they used in that. And again, it was a foreign one, and again, I will talk about foreign language in this one. There's one about Grandma's house, which was quite creepy. There was a picture day murder, which was quite interesting, but again, it didn't go anywhere, just like some of the segments. There's one with a salesman, which I've seen kind of done before, but this one was quite short. There's one where they do a Skype call. I quite like the Skype one because the noises that the Skype answer thing makes is quite like other found footage movies. There's one with a monster in the woods, and then near the end it goes back to, I think it's the second segment featuring the YouTubers. Throughout this though, you see Jack giving us a little talk similar to the first one, but he's trying to explain the story more in that. So that's a kind of wraparound story, as well as the YouTubers being a wraparound story as well. The first thing I noticed with this one that was better was the different use of different languages in the film. When you have a different language being used in a film, especially a fan film, it gives that more professional quality to it. In the first one, that didn't happen. In this one, as soon as I heard different languages with the subtitles, I thought, okay, this does seem a little bit more professional. One thing that did annoy me though, and I don't know if you picked up on it, Jack, but there was a couple of foreign characters. I think one was called Steve and the other one was called Kevin. They had very English sounding names, but they were foreign, so I didn't quite establish where they were from because they had English sounding names. I did mention another positive was I had lesser segments. I had about 9 or 10 segments, so it still had quite a lot of segments to go through, and they didn't really tie in well together, but the less the better, and I think because I had less segments, that was a lot better. The effects were much better as well. Again, they're learning from the mistakes in the first movie. Especially, like I said, the possession one. There was a girl who was possessed. The blood was coming down her mouth. She had the light up eyes as well. Don't know how they done that. But yeah, there was a lot of much better effects used in it, and they had to be mostly practical. There were some special effects that you could tell, but most of it was practical because it was a fan film, and that's what I do like. I like practical effects more than special effects. There wasn't a lot of actors in this film. There was some foreign actors as well, but I think the acting was better. I'm not saying the acting in the first movie was bad. It was good for a fan film, but I think the acting in this one was much better, and I think it also helped, like I said, with the different languages that were used. And overall, I think it was a better quality film. Not saying it was a better movie overall, but I think it was a better quality film. It was better constructed than the first one was. On to the negatives of the film. The first negative I have was similar to the first movie. In fact, most of the negatives that I have are similar to the first one, and that is the segments don't really match up there. This seems like a bunch of ideas put together and mashed into one movie. I think if they took those ideas and expanded them, I think it would have been better, and I think that's what I said about the first one. The same thing happens here. The only difference is there's less segments to be more convoluted. I think it's less convoluted in this one, but there's still too many segments that don't match up, and the wraparound stories don't match up either. And I think that the wraparound stories are supposed to be the most interesting, but in this one the wraparound stories are the least interesting. I didn't understand quite a few of the segments either, and even looking back on it just to trying to analyse it, I still don't quite understand them. And because of that, I think it was hard to determine when some segments ended and other segments began. I was watching some segments thinking, why are they people there now? And it wasn't because they've moved places, it's because it was a different segment. So I think we need more clarity on when one segment ends and another begins. I would say though, I like the first one better. Jack did say that he learned from his mistakes from the first one going on to the second one, and I agree with that. I think the mistakes that they made in the first one, they improved a lot in the second one. I still prefer the first one for its story. I think the stories matched a little bit better in that one than they did in the second one. The second one, like I said, was all over the place with the segments. I just think it was a better made movie, but it was less interesting than the first one. Overall though guys, I still like what Jack is doing. These are feature-length fan films, and I have said this time and time again, it is hard to make a 15-minute fan film to keep the audience watching. So try and make a 1 hour and 40-minute fan film. It is very hard to do. And I did find myself getting bored sometimes throughout this one more than I did the first one, but I still watched it to the very end, and I like what Jack is doing. I like the fact that he is dedicated to doing these horror fan films. I just think moving forward, if he does more in the future, that when he makes segments, have less segments and have more in them. So if you've got access to Amazon Prime, I'll leave the link down below to Jack's Amazon Prime page with the movie in it. So if you have Amazon Prime, then you can watch it for free. If you don't have Amazon Prime, I'm sure that Jack has other ways that you can watch the movie, so you can contact him as well. I'll leave his details down below where you can contact him to watch the movies. So thanks again for Jack for recommending me to watch this movie. I don't do a lot of fan films, a lot of movie reviews for fan films, because it is quite hard to critique some of these, because most of the time they have more negatives than positives because they are fan films. But I think that's why Jack and other people want us to review them, to see what they're doing well and to see what they can improve on. So again, thanks Jack for supporting my channel, and also thanks for supporting me on Patreon. Anyway guys, thanks all for watching again. Thanks for subscribing. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.